gentlemen, welcome back to Nosebleed Franchise Network. As today we have the MLB The Show 19 rebuild of the Oakland Athletics. Today is the 2020 opening day as the Oakland Athletics take on the Los Angeles Angels. The Athletics are looking to build on a nice 2019 year last year with Sean Mayne taking the hill versus Shohei Ohtani. Both of them did not play last year due to big injuries that made them miss most of the season. And the Athletics line is Zobrist at second, Happ at center, Piscotty at right, Davison left, Chapman at third, Dominic Smith at first, Cruz in DH, Semien in shortstop, and Sean Ryan Murphy is getting the start behind the dish today. As you right here, we look at Ben Zobrist, who batted .278 last year with 16 home runs. Looking to be a nice stud this year for the Athletics, and he does that right here by hitting a fly line out to the center fielder, Mike Trout. And right here, Ohtani would get out of the inning as Stephen Piscotty would come up, and Piscotty would hit a weak fly ball over to right, and that'd be the first inning for the Oakland Athletics. And on the hill for the Athletics, as we already talked about, is Sean Mayne, who stands at a menacing 6'5", 245, 28 years old, and signed a new contract in the offseason that will give him 3 years of team control, 5 years potentially with a team option for 2 years. And Mayne would not disappoint, as on his first batter of the game, he'd strike him out on 3 pitches to give him a nice first strikeout of the season. And on a 3-2 count here, he gets another strikeout. First 2 strikeouts of the game are the first 2 batters, and he has 0-2 to Mike Trout. Could he strike out the side? And he doesn't. As Trout hits a little ground ball over our FOF, Matt Chapman, to get the third out. And the Athletics would start popping here in the second inning with Chris Davis on the hill and Ohtani. Ohtani throws him a pitch, and Davis smacks a liner over into left field, and that's going to drop for a single as the left fielder made a valiant effort. Dominic Smith would come up next, and Smith would hit a screamer ground ball with eyes over the first base to Justin Bour, as Davis would get to third, and Smith would move up to a double. Smith was acquired last year in a trade with the Mets, and that's first and second and third with 1 out. And up comes Nelson Cruz with a 3-2 count, and Cruz is going to smack one over to right field, the same spot as Smith, just in the air. And that's going to score 1, maybe 2 as the throw comes in. Cruz stops at first, and Smith scores for a 2-0 lead for the Athletics. And then with 2 outs and a no-coup count, Sean Ryan Murphy would come up and look at a strike 3 for the third out of the inning. And Mayne would come back with his own stuff, as right here, the Angels would come back, Mayne would come back, and here would be a double to start off the inning for the Athletics, as Chris Davis isn't the best left fielder there in the MLB. And then up next, the Angels batter would smack one over into right field. Piscotty would throw it home, and that would make the runner stop at third, so there's no outs. The runner's on first and third. And then with 1 out and runners on first and third, they hit a deep fly ball over to left field. Davis would track, but as we talked about, he's not the best left fielder, and bounce off the wall. That'd be 2 for the Angels as they get a run. The Athletics would intentionally walk the next batter to get the bases loaded so they could get into Justin Bour, who doesn't hit well against lefties. And Bour would hit a ground ball over to the second baseman in Zobrist, and Zobrist would throw it home to Murphy to get the out. With 2 outs and no 1 count, the next would be a ground ball over to Marcus Semien, and Semien right there would get out of the inning. Manaea goes from bases loaded with 1 out to getting in the bottom of the third to none. And right here, Ben Zobrist would do something we don't see every day. He hits one deep to far right, and Zobrist would hit one out of the park, as Ben Zobrist, the first home run of the season for the Athletics, isn't known as a power threat. But Ohtani would set down the next 2 batters, and then he'd get the third batter out right here, and Chris Davis said he'd strike out swinging for the third out of the inning for the Athletics. And the Athletics the Angels would right here, as Mayne would settle down, striking out 1 Angel in the bottom of the third, and then striking out another Angel here in the bottom of the fourth. That'd be 2 of 5 strikeouts we saw, his first 2. The Athletics wouldn't be done as Piscotty would come right here, and he'd hit a double into the gap as the right fielder overplayed it. And as Piscotty gets 2, they hit the cutoff man to get second with nobody out. And then after Hansel Robles comes in with a 4-0 record with 1 save last year, one of the better relievers for the Angels. He's looking to keep the game close here, as he did have 99 strikeouts last year, which is not bad. But Chris Davis would like to spoil his, as he says, "Thank you very much for coming in," and hits a ground ball over the left side. Let's see if they test it, and they do, as Piscotty goes home, and then Davis thinks about second, and they throw it over him. He slides right back into first. And the FOF comes in to Matt Chapman, and Matt Chapman hit a deep towering fly ball to left, and he'd catch it. The right fielder would catch it this time, and that would get a double play, and the next batter would ground out to end the top of the 6th. And in the bottom of the 6th, Mayne would look to keep struggling or keep going, keep hitting, as Mike Trout right here would hit a double in the left field. Ian Happ would chase it down finally and cut it in. It'd be a close play at second, but Trout is the best player in baseball, and then be a leadoff double. The next batter for the Angels would come up, and he did a ground ball over the right side, which would get through. Piscotty misplays it in right, and that scores Trout for 4-2. But Piscotty would recover and throw out the runner at second to get the first out of the inning. And with that, Mayne would finally get out of the inning right here with a ground ball. A pop fly up to Sean Ryan Murphy. Sorry, ground ball, pop fly, same thing, potato, tomato. as that'd get him out of the inning. And then in the bottom of the 7th, the Angels would hit right here with nothing, as Mayne would finish his day with 7 innings pitched right there. Tyler Clippard would come in for the Angels, and Ben Zobrist. Are we seeing double here? Because Ben Zobrist is going to do the same thing he did in his last at bat, and he's going to hit a deep, towering fly ball to right field, and that ball is way gone. Give the Athletics a 5-2 lead. Ben Zobrist hit his first 2 home runs in the first game. He hasn't done that ever in his career. That's pretty crazy. And then Stephen Piscotty would come up right here with the 2-0 count against Clippard, and he would hit one over to first base, and it'd be misplayed by the first baseman, as Piscotty had over 30 home runs and over 110 RBIs last year for the Athletics. He's the star. And on the 0-2 count to Chris Davis, Piscotty's going to steal and throw at second. It's dropped by the catcher behind the plate. So Davis goes from an 0-2 to a 3-2, and Davis is right here is going to take a walk. So we got runners on first and second with our FOF up and Matt Chapman. What does Chapman do? Chapman looks at strike 3 because he's window shopping, because he's just looking. But Dominic Smith would come out with 2 outs, and he did ground ball over to shortstop. And Andrelton Simmons would make a nice play, earning that gold glove. And then in the bottom of the 8th, on an 0-1 count, Mayne would get the batter to ground out to first base to end his day with 8 innings, not 7. Earlier correction. And the Angels would bring in Oliver Drake in the top of the 9th to get out of it. And let's see what happens here. Sean Ryan Murphy has an 0-2 count, and Oliver Drake could go 1-2-3, striking out John Ryan Murphy. Mike Montgomery won the starting job in spring training for the Athletics, last year having a 22 saves and 2.69 ERA. And the Athletics do something crazy where they bring in everybody for opening day. As Michael Perez would come in, Kenji Morales would come in, Jorge Mateo would come in, and Chad Pinder would come in at second base. So all the subs are in, and it looked pretty good, and it looked really good as Chris Davis would field the ground fly ball here, and he'd miss it. He'd miss it, and the batter would advance to second, making Ian Happ have to get it. And right there, Mike Montgomery was in trouble off the air. But Montgomery would come up, and he'd make a nice play. Pitch, and Chapman would run the back runner over to second over there for a 5-3 putout. And then the next batter would come up, and he'd hit a ground ball over to Matt Chapman, but Chapman can't get it, being one of the best fielders in the game. And it'd go to Chris Davis, and Chris Davis would field it, and the runner would stop at third. So we got first and third with 1 out, and Justin Bohr at the plate, who doesn't hit lefties well, and they get the ground ball they're looking for, but Jorge Mateo plays it wrong, coming in for Simeon. And then Morales drops the ball at first, so that's a double error on both the Athletics who came in. So it's 5-3 now. And they'd hit a deep fly ball, and Ian Happ would get on his horse and make the next out of the inning. So we have first and third with 2 outs. Montgomery would come up with a 3-2 count, and he would end the game in fashion with a strikeout. As Montgomery there gets his first save of the season, and the win goes to Sean Mayne, who had 5 strikeouts. The player of the game was Ben Zobrist with 2 home runs and 2 RBIs. We're looking for a good season here in Oakland. Not playoff bound, but we're looking to compete in the West. Thanks for watching on Nosebleeds Network.